Hey, Jim here. Selling options is a great way to make some extra income. Part of the fun of selling options is actually finding great companies to invest in, companies I also want to own. Today, I want to talk about two such companies, two companies that are growing nicely and actually have pretty good profitability, okay debt, and fairly good premium. I've made trades on both of these. One of them I do currently own, the other one I don't. So today I'm going to talk about why I like these companies so much. And at the end, I'm actually going to share with you how I set up the trades for these two particular companies. And actually, I'm going to share some fairly recent trades on them. So stay tuned. I think you're going to really enjoy what I have for you. Okay, the first company I want to talk about is App 11 Company. Its ticker symbol is APP. They provide all sorts of services and products for companies who have apps. So it's a way to market. They have, tools for getting your app out there, monetizing, creating ads for your platform, reaching your audience in a better manner, also increasing value across customers' life cycle, measure your marketing, a way to see how you're doing and how you might be able to market a little better. So they've provided these services for quite a while, and they've been growing really nicely. So just kind of they've done a really nice job with their website and with their marketing. So let's jump over to Seeking Alpha. So you can see here over the last year they have increased quite a bit. They started out in the 20s, or actually, in the 30s, and have come all the way up into the 70s. But they've been growing so much that their PE is not crazy. They have a 22 PE. They have good ratings from Seeking Alpha, Wall Street, and the quant rating is really strong. If you look at their earnings here, they recently had earnings last week. They did slightly miss earnings, but I believe they gave fairly good guidance. And you can see here, they're going to be growing pretty nicely the rest of the year. If we come over to growth, we can see they've got an A minus for growth. So they're growing 37% a year. I mean, that's almost like if you use the rule of 72, they're almost doubling every 2 years. And their growth for income is going up significantly, 121%. So just overall, a lot of growth. Profitability, one of the most profitable companies I've seen out there. Their return on equity is over 70. Their return on total assets is 16. Their cash from operations is really good. They do have a little bit more debt than what I typically like, but they've been paying debt down recently, which I think is really good. And they typically have really good option volume and option premium. So just overall, a pretty nice company. So if we come over, this is bar chart. I was previously in Seeking Alpha, but you can see that the Bollinger Band has widened quite a bit recently. This is the chart, and I've just already gone to the APP, and you can see that shows you that volatility has gone up quite a bit. So here's their current price. So their current price is right in the middle of the Bollinger Band. That's fairly unusual. So 89 would be probably overbought. Down here in the low 60s, 65 or below would be, oversold. So somewhere, I like to be in the lower part of the Bollinger Band, closer to 65. So next, to set up the trade, I would then look at this option chain, and I'm showing you what the option chain looks like in Fidelity. And Fidelity does a really nice job with its option chain. And I typically like to do a 15 delta. So you can see on this right hand column, you've got the deltas, and here's the 15. So I could do 11, 15, or 20. So just by default, I would pick the 15, which is a 65. And that's right where I wanted to look at it, over here in the Bollinger Band, right here at 65. So then I would come over and I would set up a trade, and I've already kind of put the numbers in. And here you can see I've done 65. I might look at 55. But you can pick what type of trade you want to do. You click on spread, and then the two rows are created for you, then it will fill out a lot as you're filling out the form. So here I'm buying to open. So this is the protective down part of the put or the long put. So I'm purchasing two $55 puts at 60 cents. And then at the same time, I'm selling two puts. So giving someone the opportunity to sell me these shares, and they'll pay me $1.05. So if you were just doing a cash secured put, you could pick up $1.05. Now I could do a market order, or I could pick this 45, but I typically like to come in and go on the high end of the limit, and then typically I'll go slightly below it. So I might do a 107, and then you'll see that's reflected. And I usually will go good for the day. I don't typically, leave it where automatic. I typically want to get it filled by the end of the day. So this is where I typically would start. Then I would click preview the order. And then a lot of times it might occur the first time. If it doesn't, then I'll go back in and I may pick a little bit of a lower limit order. Like I might go from 107 to 102. And then usually within the second time or second iteration of lowering the limit order, I will get assigned, or I'll get filled, not assigned. But a couple times I've had to maybe do it 3 or 4 times, but I believe with them or with APP, I've been able to get assigned fairly easily. Now let me just share with you what it looks like. Let me bring up the last trade I had with them. And I think I rolled them just a couple days ago. So yeah, I rolled them 70, 60, so a bit higher, 65, 55. It's probably if you're getting in for the first time. Now I've been in, I believe this is the first time I've rolled. So I set up the original trade at 70, 60, and then just recently rolled. But I believe I also had a trade before that has expired. So I brought in $274 with the roll. And here I typically share this with my membership, and just kind of a quick, nice lead into my membership. If you want to give it a try, this is my Patreon. I have 3 levels. At this level, you get access to all my trades. You get access to, my collections. And I have collections that cover a lot of different things. I have, my Trader Club meeting. I have my next higher membership is what I call Traders Club, and it includes meetings every other Sunday at 8 p.m. A bunch of us get together, and it's usually between an hour and a half. We do different topics, like if we go over here, and I show you the Traders Club. Yeah, here it is, and you'll see it. And I do release, if you're in the Investor Club, you can't participate in those meetings. You have to be at least Trader Club or Coaching Club. But I do release this to the Investor Club so they can watch the videos, they can ask their own questions, and works out quite well. And like I said, I do this twice a month, every other Sunday. So, and then at the highest level, I have what I call my Coaching Club. So if you need some hand holding, twice a month, I have 2 coaching meetings. I set them up on Zoom, and they're usually between 15 and 30 minutes. That I advertise them as 15 minutes, but they typically always take 30 minutes. So that's what I wanted to talk about initially was this is the first company, APP, and I've traded on them, like I said, 2 or 3 times, and at some point I will own them. I may take a little bit more risk and bring in more premium, but it's definitely a company I want to own. They could potentially double or triple over the coming years, especially they have some really nice ties with Apple. So with that being said, let's jump into the next company I want to talk about. Now, the second company I want to talk about is Square. This is a company I've talked about in previous videos. I currently use them. My son uses them for his business. I've used them for many, many years. I had just a little Square. I remember back with Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts, used to use that little Square just to take donations related to popcorn or whatever it might be. So I have a long history with this company. We actually have purchased the little terminal down here. You can see that I'm pointing to with the mouse, but they have all sorts of nice products. They also have the Cash App. You can literally run your entire business just from using Square or using their different tools that they provide. And they show restaurant, retail, and beauty, but they can do a lot more. They can. I've worked with companies related to haircuts. My son's automotive, so it's quite a bit, and they've been doing quite well and growing nicely. Their products, I believe, kind of have a look like Apple. They just seem very professional. So let's look at them real quick. So Block here, they're not currently overpriced. I don't think they've got a 17.56 PE, which in my mind isn't that high. They've been as high as, I believe, what is it, the high of 87. They're currently right at 62. So I don't think they're overpriced. If we look at their earnings, I believe they just had earnings on 8/1. They too just barely missed for earnings. They were down a bit income-wise, but just like APP, they are growing fairly nicely. Not as much as APP, but pretty significantly. So they're going to have better earnings each quarter going forward. And they don't have earnings again till 11/7, so not till November 7th. So growth, A plus for growth. So both nice revenue growth, nice earnings growth. Profitability is a little bit lower than what I like. Some of it is they have made some big purchases with different companies over the years. I think the last purchase they made was back in 21, and I think it was some kind of a credit related company, and I think they paid a fair amount for it, but they now are paying that down. So I've noticed their return on total assets is going up every quarter, it seems. Also, their return on common equity is also going up. So I wouldn't be surprised if these go up over the next couple of quarters. Again, these were pretty big purchases, which widen their what they could offer. I think some of these might have been related to Cash App. I think Cash App itself was a purchase. So everything looks pretty good, and they also have good options volume, options premium. Look at their. This is the Bollinger Band. Now it's a little bit less volatile. It's come a little bit closer. They're currently, or did I pick the wrong company here? That doesn't look right. Let's put in Square. Yeah, it doesn't look quite right. Yeah, so it's also a bit wider, so you can see the volatility that we've gone through recently. And just like APP, it's kind of right. The current price is right at the average. I'd prefer to try to own them if I wanted to own more shares. I currently own, I think, 200 shares of them, I believe. And I do currently have a cash secured put, I think around 65. But if I was to do a new trade, I would probably do it in this range, the lower end of the Bollinger Band, maybe as low as 55 or probably around 55, maybe as high as 60. Because I do think at 60, they're a pretty good price. If we come back and we look at 60, it would be, almost a 16 PE, which is relatively low for a fairly high growth company. So let's next look at what my setup would look like. So I would again go into Fidelity. I like September 20th currently, which is 40 days out. And again, I would look for something as close as I can get to a 15 delta. So I have 19 or 13. So I'd probably pick the 19, which is right at 55. And then I'd look at 45, and it looks like 45 is pretty cheap, and 55 is between $1 and $1.24. So that looks pretty good. So I'd come over here, and then I would click on spread. I would say buy to open, close to, or sell to open. Again, I would start with one contract. I would do puts. Expiration, again, it shows me when earnings are. I would pick September 20th. You can see it fills out the other one as I do this. since this is the purchase, I would look at 45 and then I would look at 55 here. And you can see it's really close to $1. I might play around a little bit. Let's see if a 47.50 would bring in a similar amount. Pretty close, for a $7.50 spread. That's probably worth it. So here again, I would probably, for me, I would do 2 contracts. And if I thought this was a spectacular trade, I didn't own any, and I felt like 55 was just a crazy good deal, which it might be. If you look at 55 over here, that would put it right around a 15 PE, and it would be right around down here. So let's see, 55. Yeah, it hadn't been 55 since, I guess, over here. So it's been a long time since it's been 55. So that is a good price. If you have a bigger account, you may decide, well, I'm willing to own 300, so maybe I'll do 3 contracts. And then I typically, like I said before, I'd pick this 97, and then I would preview the order. I'd check, be sure everything's entered correctly, that I'm buying to open the protective put at 47.50. And then I'm selling to open the 55, meaning someone will pay me some cash for the potential of buying these shares at 55. And, and the fact it's a 750 spread, I'm bringing in quite a bit. This I can tell just by the nature of it and the fact that it's only 40 days out that this would be a very profitable trade, probably over 100% if you looked at it on a yearly basis. So then like I said, I'd preview it, review it, and then, go ahead and run the trade. And I would, again, if it didn't get picked up or filled initially, then I might lower this. I might go to 95 cents then, and then maybe 94 cents. And like I said, it typically 1 or 2 iterations, and it gets filled. Or sometimes I get busy and I leave and I find out it gets filled at the end of the day. Then I have to share it with my community literally the next day. That's happened a couple times. And here we can see, here again is my Easy Investing Income Patreon. And I just did a search. I'll do a search here in Square. And I can see the last trade I made with them, which was July 8th. And this was rolled 2 cash secured puts, brought in 157. So the total for the last week of this roll was, last week rolls are 376. So what I did, I think I rolled these twice fairly close together. But you can see I did that trade July 2nd. I'd rolled another cash secured put at 65. And I've done a lot of these trades. May 1st, I rolled 2 cash secured puts expiring 5/17. I think this might have been one of those instances where only one, I think I had 2 contracts and only one got assigned to me and the other one didn't. So I've been rolling these cash secured puts for a long time, and it's worked out quite well. I think in one instance I noticed I'd brought in over $1,000 just on these 2 cash secured puts. So that's what I wanted to show you guys. Let me know what do you think of these 2 companies. Are they companies you would invest in? Do you invest in them? Do you have some others that might be better than these 2? Please share in the comments. I try to answer the comments within 48 hours. I try to hit every one of them if I can. So thanks for joining me and taking the time to watch this video. I look forward to seeing you next time.